Hello, I'm Michelle Carlson, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Eagan, Minnesota, and I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're new or have been watching my videos for a while, thank you for spending some creative time with me. Each month, I share fun card making projects using current Stampin' Up! Products to spark your creativity. I keep things simple and flexible so you can easily recreate these projects with supplies you already have. Let's get started. This month I'm featuring the Violet Dreams Designer Series paper that is an online exclusive, and I'm also going to be using the Framed Violet stamp set and dies. The Violet Dreams Designer Series paper comes in 12 by 12 and you receive 10 double-sided sheets. I love the patterns and colors of each of these papers. It is so hard to choose which one to use. Also, there are sheets that you punch out different items to add to your card. The colors that are in the paper are Darling Duckling, Fresh Freesia, Gorgeous Grape, Hydrangea Hue, Peaceful Pine, and Secret Sea. The Framed Violet stamp set has 9 stamps. They have some beautiful flowers, and the scalloped oval, and then these different sentiments. And then the Framed Violet dies has 9 die cuts. Some cut out the stamped images, but then there's also standalone flowers and leaves that you can just cut out and put on your project. The card I'm going to make for you is a flip-flap fun fold card. This is a fun way to showcase your DSP. I was inspired by a card that I saw from Karen Braxton, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and wanted to use other designer series paper and share this quick and easy card with you. So it opens up like this, and then this card folds down like that. So that's where the flip-flap comes in, because you think it's maybe a bookmark or a bookbinding card, but it really isn't. And then I also added designer series paper here, which she didn't do. So just wanted to step it up a little bit. So let's make the project. So the measurements for the card is your standard base card, which is 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. I use the same color cardstock, but you don't have to. When I cut this out, I used a 3.5 by 3.5 to cut out one of the circles from the Nature's Spotlight on Nature's dies. And then, so the DSP that you need is, we need one that's 4 and 3 3/4, 4 by 3 3/4, and you'll have the tall side up, so the 4-inch up. And then you'll also need one for the spine on the side, which is 4 inches by 1 1/4. And then for the inside, for the basic white flap is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. And then for just the inside of this piece, where you're going to write, I just add a little designer series paper to bring the outside into the inside. Which is 3.5, and I said 3/4, but I think this is a 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, depending how much you want to use up inside your card. It's only a little space, so maybe a 1/2 inch would be perfect. And then the basic white, so this is 7 by 3.5, scored at 3.5. And then I have a scrap here for my stamped image and to stamp my banner for the happy birthday. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my card base and fold it in half so I can see that score line a little bit easier, and place it in my my trimmer. But of course I want to have this is going to be my front side, and I want the cutting on this side, right? So we're going to put it in here, and we're going to cut at 1 1/2, 1 and 1 1 1/2. So up to this brown line, brown part, that's a 1/2 inch, 1.5 inch. Okay, and what I'm going to do is take the blade and just cut it up until I get to the score line. So where this part is, so it'd be like in, oh, getting close. So if you see the score line, so in the middle, there's this line here on the side. I don't know if you can see there or not, but there is. So once you get to that point, and sometimes I look, yep, so that's good. So you just want that cut. So this is probably the hardest part of just cutting that. So once you got that cut apart, you're going to glue this flap, the small flap, down. Ugh. Has that ever happened to you where you can't glue, your glue gets all dried up because you forgot to put the cap on? Okay, so I got my glue working again, and I'm going to just bring this down. Just so it's flush down, you know, so that's all connected or flush to this edge. Okay, and then we will take our designer series paper and we're going to put our side panel designer series paper on. Now I picked out the paper that I thought went well together, so that's kind of the fun part. So I would take your designer series paper, see which 3 patterns work well together and what kind of base color you would use on your card. And I'll be showing you a lot of examples. This has been a really fun card to make. I actually made, let's see, 33 cards for cards. Well, I made 25 for a card swap, and then I made 6 more for birthdays, for a birthday club that they will get in September. So then we'll take the 4 by 3 3/4 designer series paper, and yeah, like how I made sure like this is up for the 4 because it's really close. It's hard to tell, you know, by seeing which is going to be the 4-inch side versus the 3 3/4 side. So make sure you measure or put it on your card before you actually glue it, so that you put it on the correct way. And also, like if your designer series paper is directional like this one, you'd want to make sure that the direction is going the proper way. So now we will fold the basic white piece in half. Use your bone folder to varnish. And then I always see which is going to be the shorter side because mine always has a little longer side and then a short side. So I'm going to put the little short, the shorter side on the back. So I'm just going to put some glue around the edge. And then just kind of eyeball it. So this has the same width, and then this is going to be a little bit more top and bottom than the sides. So it's not going to be even all the way around, but you want, it to be centered as much as possible. And then you want it so that your fold is toward the bottom, not toward the top. Then you have the designer series paper to glue on the front of this, and I just like to add that because it kind of looked plain if you didn't add something in here. So it's a little extra surprise. And then of course I like to decorate the inside of my card, so I'm going to put this little piece of designer series paper on the inside. And you can give yourself some room so that's not all the way to the fold, so it closes easier. Okay, so just like that. Next we're going to put the ribbon around. So we're going to just wrap it around. We're not going to put tape on the back. I like to bring the ribbon so it's toward the end here, and then bring this up. And then I'm going to wrap it under so that's nice and tight. I'm also going to put this tweezer now. My team member told me that someone else did that, and that works out pretty slick to keep this tight, right? Because sometimes, and then you can just bring it around and then take that out and tighten it up. Okay, we will also put a glue dot, but this gives you a little bit of wiggle room so you can move your bow or your faux bow anywhere you want it to. So now I'm just gonna trim this off with my ribbon scissors. And that's like that. And then I'll put a glue dot just to hold it in place. And I like to take my take your pick tool, get that off, and put it on. Usually when I've done this, it's gotten a lot more. Well, I guess that'll be good. Okay, yep, that's tight enough. I thought it was a little bit loose, but that'll work. The next thing we're going to do is stamp our image. And I'm going to stamp the 3 flowers in that framed violet set. And I'm using Secret Sea ink. So I'm just going to stamp it right in the center. I just hold that for a few seconds so that the ink can just absorb into the paper. I am going to use Stampin' Blends. I am using Peaceful Pine for the leaves, and then I'm using Highland Heather. Now I know Highland Heather's not in the Designer Series paper, but it was a nice color to be, for contrasting. That went well with the Fresh Freesia and the Gorgeous Grape. So kind of that in-between color. So what I'd like to do is I like to use the smaller end, not the brush end, especially with these smaller areas. And I use the dark first, and I just go over these marks like so, on the darker marks. And then I'm going to just do dark purple on the inside. I'm just going to do one, and then I'll finish this up later, just to save on time. And then I take the light, and then I go over the dark and color the rest of the petals. Okay, so that's kind of like my quick coloring tip. So it can blend out and then be lighter at the tips of the flower. Okay, so easy peasy. Doesn't have to be, too perfect. And then I take the dark Peaceful Pine, which is this one. It says dark or light, and then same thing. Now I'll just do a leaf. So I'm just going to go over these veins. And the alcohol kind of just spreads out so much that, you don't want to get too close to the edge. Otherwise it might go over where you don't want it to be colored. And then I'm just taking the light Peaceful Pine and coloring in everything, the whole leaf. Now I think for the stems I just went with dark and just colored it in. See, I got a little carried away there. So this is your quick and easy coloring. Some people go back and forth and da-da-da. I don't. So I'll finish this and then we just die cut it out and then I will finish the card. So here is the finished project and now I'm going to die cut it out. Before we get everything assembled, I used the banner punch to punch a white piece, and then I'm using the banner sayings for the happy birthday. I've showcased those the card last month, so I'm not going to talk about those today. And then I'm just going to try and make sure this is in the center. The lights are kind of being wonky. Oh, close enough. I think I got it on a little bit like a smiley face, but that's okay. So, and you can put whatever you want on the front of your card, and you'll see different examples depending on what you have at home, right? So I'm going to glue this piece down, okay? Because we don't want too many pieces to be dimensioned up. So this is going to, and then just put in the circle or center of your card flap there. Now I am going to put dimensionals on this. And I think for this particular one, small and large, but I just want, oops, I like your take your pick tool. There we go. That helps me. There. So I do some small in the smaller areas and then large ones in the large areas. So here's kind of, so I'm going to have some bigger ones here. And up there. And I think down here. I don't know if that's going to fit. I guess it will. Okay. And then I think one more down at the stems here, just so that you have extra support. So I just take my fingernails to take off the backings. You can take your pick tool too and just dab them off if, well, people do that. Obviously I have to practice on that a little bit. So whatever works for you on taking those backs off. And then I'm just going to bring that up a little bit, centered, kind of above the oval or the circle a little bit. And then I'm going to take a couple of pieces here for the banner. I'm putting one on one side, one on the other, and then I'm going to put a glue dot right in the center so it will glue right there to the stem. Okay. And then I'm just going to bring it up a little bit. Actually, I probably should have. That's okay. The other one I brought up a little bit more. Maybe I wasn't supposed to. Maybe it was all glue dots. I haven't made these. I mean, I just made a bunch, but I forgot how to make them. Yeah, I guess it's all glue dots, no dimensionals, because you're going to be putting it on your leaves and your stem. So mine, because I put some dimensionals, that's why I couldn't get it up further because the leaves are in the way. But that's okay. So that's just two different samples. And then the last but not least, we're going to add some rhinestones. So I guess I'm running out of rhinestones. There's middle size, large size, and small sizes. And I want to use two smalls, and I want to use this one up a little bit. So I'm just going to put one up here, and usually I would do probably the middle, the next size there, but since I don't have any, it's not a big deal. And then the larger one over here. So here's our card. So flip, flap, card. And you can put a sentiment here too if you want, but I'm not going to. So here's our original. This is the one I made previously, which I think I'll just stick right on top of that. And then this one is made with the Artistic Designer Series paper, and this was similar to what Karen Brexton made. And so, but then yesterday I made some more. So here is the Pooh Bear one. Old friends are the best. So I open it up with a little map, and then you can just write your sentiment or your whatever you want to write inside. Here is the garden, Paradise Garden Designer Series paper and stamp set. So this one is made from the bugs, like sweet bugs or something like that. But I didn't use any bugs on this, but this is the Designer Series paper. They also had this, the bell, I don't know what flowers this is, I don't know flowers, but they also had these die cuts and the sentiment of hello friends. So just kind of made one like that. And then this one, I realized I didn't add a ribbon, but you don't really have to have a ribbon on the side either. It looks nice with the Designer Series paper. And this is the lovely arrangement, flowers and Designer Series paper. And so that is it for the cards. You can find all the measurements and the full product list on my website at michellesstamping.com. Just click on card videos, then choose 2026 cards from the drop-down menu. If you enjoyed this project, I'd love a thumbs up or a comment below. It truly makes my day to hear from you. And if you make a card using this project, please feel free to share it in the comments underneath this video. I would love to see your creations and learn which stamp set and paper you used. I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and help you with all your paper crafting needs. If you'd like a paper copy of the catalog and or want to receive my newsletter, feel free to email me at michellesstamping@gmail.com. For your convenience, all these links are listed below the video. Be sure to click the subscribe button, it's free, on my YouTube channel, so you'll be notified whenever I share a new video. I'd love for you to craft along with me. Thank you for watching, and happy stamping!